just this. Hello? Oh, wait, maybe it's the HDMI. That's why my speaker.
Oh, wait, it's picking us stuff up now.
Can you hear now? Is it kind of quiet? It's probably just kind of quiet.
I'll go ahead and jump on the call and monitor chat for you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, so just hope that works. All right, so now that you have Solidworks open, you should have kind of just a screen like this. You might have like a little like welcome splash screen up here. But essentially what you want to do first, whenever you want to make anything in CAD, is basically make a new file or a new part. So we'll go up to the top left, click File, New, and then you'll be able to hit either Part, Assembly, or Drawing. So essentially how this works is there's multiple types of SolidWorks files. You can make parts, which are just like, as they sound, like individual parts. Then you have assemblies, which are basically a bunch of parts that are put together. And you also have drawings. Those are like sort of technical drawings that of your part that you use for like manufacturing or just like communicating your part designs. So we're just going to make a new part. So you can just click on that and hit OK. Oh yeah, if you need to set your units, if it prompts you to set your units, set them to go down to units and then do MMGS. We're going to use a millimeter gram second. And you should just be able to ANSI, set to ANSI and hit OK. All right. So yeah, I guess, are most people at the screen yet, or do we still need a little bit more time? Right, so that's a bottom, right? See that IPS? And for people who might have chosen like the wrong units or like click through that menu, you'll probably have it set to IPS in the bottom right. That means inch, pound, second. You can click this little drop down or drop pop up, I guess, in the lower right and switch it to millimeter gram seconds, which is what we'll be using.
Yeah, it's in the bottom. So,
looks like people are mostly in. So I'll just kind of introduce you to the UI real quick. So you kind of just have a blank screen here because you haven't made anything yet, but on your left, you have your browser. This is sort of where like the history of everything you make will go. So if you have like if you make like a sketch, it'll show up in the left and you can see like all of your origin planes. So like you have your origin here. That's like the center point of your part. You have your front plane, top plane, right plane. You can reference these whenever you want. Yeah, and there's some other stuff here like your material. And up on the top, we basically have like all the tools you can use. So you can create like extrudes, you can go to sketch, create sketches. There's some other tools you have here. In evaluate, there's like a really useful measure tool. We can talk about that later. But yeah, mostly we're going to be using stuff from this sketch and this features menu.
and if anything, if we start going too fast or if anything seems unclear, please let us know because we're doing this for your benefit.
Yeah, so if you ever have a question, feel free to ask like in the middle. No need to like, I guess like wait until I'm finished. Just ask if you have anything in the moment. All right, so
everybody's got this menu up.
yeah, so
Different planes selectable.
Right, yeah, so make sure you navigate to the sketch option up here and then click the sketch button. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so once you click sketch, it'll show all your 3 planes. We're gonna choose the front plane. So you can mouse over until it sort of shows up highlighted orange. And then if you click your left mouse button, it'll bring you facing that plane and it'll show like a little origin in the center. So this is the sort of sketch interface. This is where you draw basically 2D shapes. And then you're gonna turn these 2D shapes into 3D objects. So specifically the part we're gonna make right now is we're gonna make this battery. It's pretty much just a rectangular prism with 2 little circles coming out of it to kind of represent the wires. And then it's also got these rounded edges on all sides. So to do this, we're going to create a 2D sketch of the side profile. We're essentially going to draw the side of the shape, and then we're going to pull it out into 3D space with an extrude. So first, I want to create a rectangle, and I can see from this drawing, from the side, this rectangle is about 100 by 40 millimeters. So I'm going to create a rectangle. You'll probably have this corner rectangle selected by default. So click this tool. It's located here. It looks like a rectangle. And then click on the origin just once, and then drag your mouse outwards, and then drop the other corner somewhere like that. And then you can hit escape real quick to sort of unselect the rectangle tool. So now you'll notice you have just
Fog models.
All right. Yeah. So don't worry about the size. Just get it just get a rectangle with 1 corner on the origin. All right. Okay. So the next thing you'll notice is some of these lines are actually black and some of these are actually blue. So what the black lines means is this feature or this sort of sketch element is fully defined and like fully constrained. Yeah, so you'll have these sort of like black lines and these blue lines. So the black lines means that this element is like fully constrained, which means it's not going to move around. The reason why is because we fixed this corner of the rectangle to the origin by starting the rectangle at the origin. So if I try to click and drag on this line, it doesn't move at all. If I click and drag on one of these blue lines, these are actually free because they're not fully constrained yet. So this one's fixed, this one can move around. And so generally when you're designing a part in CAD, you want all of your geometry to be fully defined, which means that nothing's just kind of floating there because you just like dragged it in the right place. You want everything to have sort of like an associated geometry reference and a sort of, or like a dimension to it so that you basically control like where all the lines, all the features in your sketch are. So we're going to basically fix these lines in place to where we want them. So we're going to give our rectangle dimensions. So there's a pretty convenient tool in the top left, right next to the exit sketch button right here. It's called Smart Dimension. Click on that. And then we're going to basically dimension the sides of a rectangle. So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can sort of dimension between the sides of the rectangle. So if you like click this side, and then you click this side of the rectangle, it'll give you sort of a dimension between those 2 lines. Right now, it's just the value of whatever you dragged it to. So it's some like random number. But you can drag it to somewhere where it like looks convenient. Click. And then it'll let you set that dimension. So in our drawing, we said that the side view of this battery is going to be about 40 by 100 millimeters. So we're going to set this side to 40 millimeters. If you set your units right by default, it should be 40 millimeters. If you just type 40. But if you do need a different unit, like if you want this to be like 40 inches, you can literally just put a space and then type in like IN for inches, and it'll automatically do the conversion. Or if you're inches and you want to do millimeters, you can put 40 millimeters and it'll convert for you as well. But essentially, for now, we're going to set this to 40 millimeters and hit OK. And now this side, this length here between these two lines is fixed to exactly 40 millimeters. So you'll notice that this line has now turned black. If I try to click and drag it, it doesn't move around at all. This line on the right here is still unconstrained. It's still kind of freely moving about. Did you have? Yeah, 40 millimeters. If you have your unit set to MMGS on the bottom right, then it'll automatically be 40 millimeters. But if you have it set to like inches, you'll need to say 40 millimeters explicitly. Otherwise, it'll be 40 inches. All right. And so next thing we're going to do is we're going to just give the bottom, this dimension for this line, 100 millimeters. So another way you can do it is you can just directly click on the line and it'll let you dimension the length of that line instead of sort of clicking between two lines and then setting the distance between them. So I just clicked like basically directly on this line, click here, drag this dimension out, click again, and then I can enter in 100 here, press enter, and then it'll set the size of this rectangle to exactly what I want. You'll notice now all the lines are black. The shape is like fully defined. I can't move it around anymore. And so yeah, now we have 40 by 100 millimeter rectangle, which is what we wanted. All right. Is everyone good with that? Does anyone have any question, any trouble with their buttons, I guess?
Everybody's got that rectangle on their screen.
Okay. So my wonderful assistants, I guess, are helping out. I'll move along just a little bit. So essentially, this is all we're going to do for now. So we're just going to hit exit sketch.
Sorry, could you show the tool for the length again?
So once you have this rectangle drawn, you can go to the top left, hit exit sketch. That'll bring you outside of the sketch view. All right. So once you're out of this sort of sketch view, you're going to basically select this sketch one if it hasn't already been selected, right? And then you can go to features in the top left, little icon, and then we're going to hit extruded boss / base. So what that's going to do is it's going to take your sketch. We've had the sketch selected already, and it's going to extrude it or pull out that 2D closed profile into a 3D shape. So on the left menu, you see a couple of options. You can do, you can specify the type of extrusion you want. This is a blind extrusion, which means it's just going to pull it out a specific distance. You can also do like up to a certain vertex or up to like another surface. You can do an offset from that surface, so a certain distance from that surface. You can do up to like the next body or up to like a midplane, or from both sides of a midplane. But we're just going to do a blind extrude, and we're going to pull it out, well, according to this drawing here. We're drawing this side profile, so we would need to extrude it out 30 millimeters. So we're going to go edit this dimension, press 30, and then hit enter. And now you'll have this, this shape here. And this sort of length right here should be exactly 30 millimeters. And then you can hit the green check mark, click OK. Yeah. So make sure you're at this step there now. Okay.
All right, I'll go ahead and take a couple of the questions from the chat in a bit. So we had from Alan, how do you change the measurement you use? So in the bottom right here, where it says MMGS on Matthew's screen, we can open up that menu and then switch between all of these right here. The one that we're using now is MMGS. And could you show the tool for length again? I think that we go ahead and go into our sketch here. And then our tool for setting the length was Smart Dimension, where you just click on your line, place the dimension, and then normally you'd be able to type it in and change the numbers from there. But that's, since we've already got that side constrained to 100 millimeters, it's not going to let me do that. So I can, I'll just go ahead and cancel that and then quit editing. What happens if you change the sketch now? All right. So if we go and try not to wreck his sketch too much. All right, so we got a question from chat that I'm just going to go ahead and show everybody right now. So what happens if you change the sketch now? Is it going to impact the body? So let's say we take this 40 millimeters and change it to 90 millimeters. And then we back out. And there's our block, which is now 90 millimeters tall instead of 100 millimeters tall. Now, in some case, changing this is going, or in some cases, changing this might break the extrusion. That's okay. You just go back in and then reselect the profile, and that'll let you redo the sketch and re-extrude everything that you need to. So yeah, at any time you can just go back into that sketch menu and change your numbers if you find out that you measured something wrong, or if you find out that something's not fitting right. And yeah, for those of you on Zoom, we're just making sure that everybody's caught up to the same point at the moment. We'll probably resume this construction in a few minutes.
All right. Are we mostly there? Yes, no, maybe. All right. So for people who are there, we're going to talk about mouse controls really quickly. So in order to kind of like orbit around your part, what you're going to do is you're going to press down on the middle mouse button. So you'll like put your finger on the mouse wheel and like physically press down on it. And then if you drag your mouse around, you can orbit around your model like this. So you can give that a shot. And then if you want to zoom in and out, you can use your mouse wheel like this. So scrolling in and out will let you zoom in and out. Yep. And then if you want to pan left and right, you can press Control and then press down on your middle mouse button. And then you can slide, move the part around like this. Yeah. Okay. All right, so now that you've kind of moved your part around a little bit, you've kind of like orbited around, maybe you've like panned around, like zoomed in. If you're in some sort of like kind of inconvenient orientation, what you can do is you can hit the space bar like that. And then it'll sort of zoom you out and show you like this little cube. So you can click on one of these sides of the cubes to get a specific view. So if I want to get this corner view, I can click this corner right here. And if I want to go back to kind of the default corner view, I can hit this view in the top right over here, like that. So it'll bring me back to kind of the original view that SolidWorks has set up. So this, just like pressing space to get different orientations, is pretty useful. You can click all the options over here as well. So if you're used to like Fusion 360, this is kind of like the view cube. I don't know if that's an Inventor thing actually, but one of those has like a little view cube in the top right, where you can click all the sides of the cube. This is the SolidWorks equivalent. All right. Okay, so I'm guessing, is everyone kind of comfortable with those controls, or is there anyone that wants me to explain a couple of them again? No? All right. So now that we've got these, now that we've got basically this sort of rectangular prism here, we're going to start adding more features on top of it. So once you've created sort of your base feature, in this case, we've created kind of this simple extrusion from a rectangle. We're going to add the wires onto it. So we'll take a look at the drawing and we can see that these wires are basically like 5mm circles if you view them from this angle. 5mm diameter circles that are 6mm apart. And they're a distance from the center of the circle to the right edge of the battery of 5mm. They're also centered on this battery. So I'll go over a little bit of the stuff involving that. So we're going to switch back to SolidWorks and we're going to create another sketch so we can sketch those circles. So again, we're going to go to the sketch menu, create another sketch. And we're going to drop it over on this face of the rectangle. So if you click that, orient you kind of like this. If you want to face this face, you can press space, navigate yourself over to this right view, like that. And then using your mouse controls, you can like pan this around a little bit. You can zoom in and out again if you want. And so we're going to create those two wires for the circles. So once you're in the sketch window, just make two circles. We're just going to make them an arbitrary size for now. So just put them like anywhere, like sort of on the face of the battery. Don't worry too much about like the placement. We're going to basically add like a bunch of constraints and like a bunch of dimensions in order to get them exactly where we want them to be. I do have my view oriented a little bit differently. So yeah, these should be like up here somewhere, I guess.
Any questions over anything that we've been doing up to this point? All right.
Does everyone have these like two circles somewhere? Yeah, don't worry about like them being the same size. Don't worry about them being like in the right place. Yeah. So, okay. So now that we have two circles, we're going to dimension one of them to what the size we want, which is 5 meters or 5mm. So we're going to hit Smart Dimension and just click on the edge of one of those circles. You'll see it like highlight orange. Click on it, drag your mouse out, and then hit 5mm, or just enter in 5mm, and then hit enter. And for now, don't dimension this other circle. We're going to add in a sketch constraint to make them the same size in a moment. for now, just focus on getting this 5mm dimension on one of these circles.
Is that a radius or a diameter? Is that radius or
Diameter.
Okay.
It should always dimension by default on the diameter. Okay, so right now you have this. So for people who need to delete one of the dimensions, let's say I created this dimension right here. I enter it in, I don't want it. You could hit Control Z, or you could also, just to delete any dimension, make sure you don't have the Smart Dimension tool selected. So you can click this a second time or hit Escape. And then now I have it unselected. I'm going to click on this dimension, and then I'm going to hit the delete key on the keyboard like that. And now it's gone. All right. So now that we have this 5mm dimension on this circle, we're going to click on this circle, the dimension circle first, or it actually doesn't matter, but click on one of the circles. And then hold down Control, and then click another circle. So this basically lets you select like two things at once. I've selected both circles, and now you'll see near my mouse, there's a bunch of options. I can make these equal. I can make these two circles concentric. I can make them tangent or like co-radial. You have these same options on the left. So what we what we want to do is make them equal really quick. So now they have them both selected. I'll just hit the equal constraint. And now they'll be the same size. Yeah. So essentially second time for maybe anyone that missed it. So right now, like these circles are like not the same size, right? So I'm going to click on one circle, and then hold down Control, click on another circle, and then go to the left and press this equal button. And then that'll force both of these to be the same size. And since we've fixed the dimension of one of them, it'll force the one that's like the wrong size to be what we want. Now you see the option on the left.
I thought that, I don't know.
No.
I thought they were the same.
Yeah, okay. All right. Real quick, one last time. So we're going to dimension only one of these circles to 5 millimeters. Because otherwise, if you have sort of 2 dimensions, it's going to be like over constrained essentially. Because you've kind of defined like an equal relationship like twice, I guess. But so you have one of your circles dimensioned to 5 millimeters. The other one is a lot bigger. So we're going to click on one of the circles, just like left click on it once. And then we're going to press down the control key. And then we're going to click. And while we're holding that down, holding down the control key, we're going to click the other circle. So whenever you hold down control and like click multiple things, that selects multiple of them. And so when SolidWorks sees that you've selected multiple circles, it's going to give you all of these options on the left. The option you want is you want to set them equal to each other. So you'll click that option, and then that other circle is going to be changed to be the same size. I guess another thing to note is that if you change this dimension, it's gonna keep these two the same size. So if I change this to 8 millimeters, then both of them are going to turn 8 millimeters large. If I set them back to 5 millimeters, they'll both go back. So this is important for like times when you don't want to like over constrain your sketch. In this case, we know the wires need to be the same size. So if we wanted to edit our model later, for example, like if we wanted to change the wire size to 6 millimeters, we could do it really easily by just editing this dimension instead of editing like 2 separate dimensions for both of the wires. So it's just generally a good practice to use these sort of like sketch constraints whenever you can over like throwing a bunch of dimensions everywhere. So I guess for now, I'll move on since I think a lot of people have it. So now, if we look at this sort of drawing, these two wires are sort of centered, or I guess they're aligned to each other, kind of like along the sort of shortest side of the battery. So I don't know if like all of you have created your parts in the same orientation as me. Maybe like your shortest side is on the right, maybe it's like on the top. But for me, basically, I want these 2 circles. I'll just kind of drag them in place for now to be like right next to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the center of one of the circles, click control click using the same thing we did before, the center of the other circle. And I want them basically aligned horizontally. I want them to be at the same level along the horizontal axes. So I'm going to hit this horizontal button like that. And it should move them into place now. And so if I click and drag these around, they're always in the same place as each other horizontally, like that. Yeah.
one slide over.
Yeah, one detail I forgot to mention. Make sure you select the centers of the circle when you do the horizontal constraint. So give me a sec. So right now, like if I don't select the centers of the circle, shoot, are they fixed? Okay, so if I just select like the outer parts of the circle right now, it won't give me the horizontal option. That's because like SolidWorks sees you're selecting two like sort of circular things, and it doesn't understand you want to make them horizontal to each other. So you need to make sure you select exactly the center point of the circle. So again, control click only these like center points. You'll know you have it selected because only the center will be orange. And then you can hit horizontal. And once that's good, you can drag around the center points of the circle like that.
I don't know what you're up to. Horizontal. Nice.
Oh, I think I was trying to go to so I guess like you see here, like all the
Yes. Okay, just drag your numbers on. Or you just drag your numbers more up. That's just gonna be selected. Oh, you mean line? Yeah, that's still diameter. I don't know exactly what's if you want to have a white line through the circle, that is one of them.
These are all spades.
Oh, hang on, I know. Take your number and drag it towards the other side. Okay. Well, that's setting the diameter. We want 5 diameter, but there's like, what's up with the black line? Because there's no black line there, but there's one running. Well, I guess first of all, I'm not sure what this even means. I'm nearly certain that it's just. That one's defining the height. That's effectively the same. Try this out. Oh, no, so like just the black line in the middle of this with the answer. You selected it, so you selected how you reselect it. Now it's probably already got the circle.
Yeah, you're in the kind of so that gets like that. All right. All right. Okay. So now what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to make these circles symmetric with each other about kind of the center of the shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop in a center line in order to represent like sort of the center of our battery. So that's under this line tool. If you click the drop down, one of the options is center line. If you click that, you can create a new line. So what we're going to do is we're going to mouse over the top right here. So just sort of bring your mouse to the top of your screen, just sort of like hover over. Move your mouse over to this sort of center point that shows up when you hover over. Right, and then you click there. And then you can follow this line down vertically all the way to the bottom center point like that. And then you click there again. And it's going to try to get you to draw like another line right here. But you can just hit escape in order to cancel that second line. So now you should have this black center line. Again, this black dimension is good. That means it's like fully defined because we told this line one end needs to be at the midpoint here. The other end needs to be at the midpoint here. So this line is now fully constrained. So once you have this center line in, you can control click on the center of this circle. It actually doesn't matter if you select the outside of the circle or the inside of the circle for this, but I'll select the insides. Control click the center of this circle, control click the center line, and control click the center of this circle. And now you'll have this symmetric option on the left. If you hit that, they'll make them symmetric about that line. What? You mean for the control clicking? No, you can just do it in any order. As long as one of the selections is like a center line, you should be good. And then now that that's set, you should be able to click on these circles, drag them around, and you see that they're always symmetric to each other like that. Yeah, because
You just create an axis and then you can mirror things around it. It's often convenient to set it as a center point if you're making anything symmetric like a battery. It is not strictly necessary.
So at the end, oh, about just at the end, about active ownership. Yep, I'm handling the.
All right.
Hey Matthew, where do you get the SolidWorks link or the SolidWorks ID?
I'll PM it. Shoot, I'll do it on my phone real quick. What's it? Can you PM me?
Yep.
Real quick? Okay.
I'll go ahead and make the conversation.
All right. So now we've kind of defined all of the sort of geometry constraints we want. We've made them horizontal to each other, and we've also made them symmetric about the origin. So now we're going to put in basically some final constraints that are or final dimensions that are going to tell basically the software exactly where to place these circles. So they'll turn, once you're done with all of this, they'll turn black instead of blue. So you'll know they're like fully constrained. So the first thing is we need to define exactly the distance between the two circles. As we can see, they can kind of be like any arbitrary distance right now. We're gonna check that dimension real quick. We see that it's 6 millimeters. So we're gonna navigate back to here, do a dimension between the centers of these two circles, drag that dimension out here, and enter in 6 millimeters. Now they're 6 millimeters apart, centered on the center line. Okay, and for those of you who got that pretty quickly, we'll add in one last dimension to finish it up. We need to dimension the height from these circles to the edge of the part. If we check the drawing, that's exactly 5 millimeters between the center of one of those circles and the edge. So we'll drop a dimension here, like that, between the edge of the part and one of the circles. We'll say 5, hit enter, and we're good. You'll notice these circles are black now and you can't drag them around at all. That means they're fixed into place. We have fully defined like all the geometry and all of the sort of dimensions we need in order to sort of place these two features. I'll finish up this. All right. So it seems like most people got this. Is there anyone who doesn't have this right now? We're just going to finish up this part real quick. All right. So we're going to exit the sketch right now. And so that'll put us out of that sketch view. If you want, you can like orbit around your part a little bit just to get like a better view on it, maybe. It's a little hard to see, but there are these two circles right here. All right. And I'm going to go to features. And I'm going to extrude those two wires. So I'm going to click extrude at the, right now, mine's hard to see, but there are these two circles. I'm going to select this one. And you'll see it selected that circle. If I want the other circle, I'll go down here for selected contours. I'll just sort of click somewhere in that box, and that'll tell SolidWorks I want to select another contour, or I guess like another region. And you see if you mouse over, you can select like this empty space or sort of this empty space. We're going to want this other circle right here. So mouse over where that is, click there, and it'll select both of them. And now we need to specify our distance. So I'm going to check the drawing. These wires, I did not dimension those. So we're going to say these are sticking 6 millimeters out. Like that. So type in 6 millimeters and then hit OK, top left. And your wires are sticking out here. We still have one more step, which is adding these sort of corners or adding these rounded corners on the battery. So I'll give everybody just like a little bit more time just in case they need to finish up.
The next step, I think, is either going to be a filler, but I can't. Yeah. I don't know if we'll end up getting there today. Or that's just like
Oh yeah, we're gonna show the attendance form in a second. So if you need to leave like right now, just like let us know. But we'll have the attendance form up in just like maybe like 5 minutes. We're gonna go just a little bit over.
Yep. I
Okay.
think that we're clear to go until like 5:30, and then this room undergoes cleaning.
Okay, so yeah. All right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add fillets or basically rounded corners to all of the edges of our part. So to do that, we're going to go to the top, select one of these features called Fillet. There. And we're going to try to fillet all the corners, so, or all the edges essentially. So if you click on one of these edges, it kind of gives you like a little preview of what's going to happen. Right now it's set to a 10mm fillet, so it's a pretty big one. We're going to switch it to 1mm right here. Type in 1mm, hit enter. Now we'll get like the smaller, nicer fillet on the edge. You can select the edges individually like this, or if you want, let's go over here. We can delete this fillet or delete that selection. If you right click on the selection you already made, click delete. You can also select the faces as well directly. So you can select this face, this face, this face, and then this face. And it'll select all of the I guess like edges that are connected to those faces.
We've got a question in chat when you're done here too.
Assign colors, yeah, there is a way. I don't know if I'll go over it right now, but if you want to research it on your own, there are appearances in SolidWorks that you can assign to all of the parts. All right, so once you have all of the edges selected, you're going to hit enter, or basically, I guess the check mark, and should be done now. So I guess for those of you who want to leave, you'll want to save your part. So file, save, and then save it somewhere. Give it a name. And yeah, you'll have it saved. I'll pull up the QR code real quick. And we'll still be around to help you out for a little bit.
That's probably a good idea.
So I think what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go a little bit over time. So for now, if people need to go, you can scan the QR code. But I'll also stick around and teach just like a few more things. So if you want to stick around.
I wouldn't drag it out.
Yeah. Only like 30 minutes, maybe.
I think that you can drop from the menu here. Right, drop from the menu there. And then...
Oh, you have the selection filter. So what is extruded? You have the selection filter, right? Yeah.
It's probably going over how these might say what and like what they say. So then we all right, so remember where you guys said, or are we gonna be going back to the battery next week? Or in 2 weeks? Oh, fantastic.
Okay, so for those of you who stayed, welcome to the Cool Club. All right. Oh, do you need the QR code? All right. Yeah, no problem. Scan the QR code if you haven't real quick.
have some extra stuff coming out. I think it's gonna be some more tweaking on that. We're doing some more stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so real quickly, I'm gonna go over some extra, just like kind of useful features, things I kind of might have glossed over, probably should have included. So if you made a mistake or you felt that you want to change one of the dimensions in your part, what you can do is you can go back and edit anything that you've done. So like, for example, let's say this very first extrude that we did, I wanted to make that wider. So I can go mouse over this, hit the right click button, and then click this edit feature button. So click that, and then now it brings me all the way back to when I was on this step. And then I can enter in like a new dimension, or I can like flip the direction around by clicking this button. Basically, I'll just change this to like 50 millimeters. Hit enter. And then hit OK. And now it's changed. And you'll notice that everything actually updated according to that dimension. So like, for example, these wires are still centered on your part. That's because we defined like a center line that was constrained to the middle of that line. And so because of the way we kind of like, I guess we went through like kind of a convoluted way of creating this part where we created a lot of like geometry relations. The advantage of that is when you update your parts, they'll stay the way you want them to be. If you just sort of constrained all of your wires using dimensions to where you wanted them to be, then you want to go back and edit them, they wouldn't quite update with your part the way you want it. So there is kind of like a, I guess, kind of like some logic to placing these like geometry constraints and these dimensions. All right, and I'll go just change that back real quick. So go right click edit feature again, 30 millimeters. Hit that. I was right clicking the
All right, everybody's left the Zoom.
Everyone kind of good with this, like editing individual features? You can also edit entire sketches as well. So let's say I wanted to make this taller. I can expand this initial extrude, mouse over to this sort of like sketch, this little sketch, and I can do the same thing. Go to this little icon, hit edit sketch. So you'll right click on the sketch, hit edit over here. And now it'll bring you back into the sketch. And I can change the height of this again, set it to like 60 millimeters. It'll update. I hit OK. I exit the sketch, and now everything's updated again on exactly how I wanted it because we did good with the sketch constraints. Everyone good with this? Yeah. So I extended that into the and you can right click on that now, hit edit sketch. And now you can actually double click on those dimensions between. Yeah, well, basically you can go back in time and kind of like Yeah, yeah. You go back kind of to what you're working on before. All right, yeah. So you can go back, edit these sketches as well. And another cool feature is you can actually roll back sort of like this timeline. So this is called like the rollback bar. If you move this, let's say move this like above the fillet, it'll gray out this fillet and keep everything above the rollback bar. So essentially, you've kind of gone back in time before you did the fillet. So you want to click and drag it over. Yeah, so this is like where you are right now. Yeah, so you can go like back in time. Yeah, so I guess some extra explanation on this. This line kind of just basically represents where you are. So you can drag it like kind of back in time and go backwards through a bunch of steps like that. You can go like all the way back to the beginning of your part, or you can go see it like one feature in, another feature in, and then another. This is helpful in a lot of scenarios. If like you get a part from somebody and you had no idea how they made it, you can step through exactly what their process was. You can also go back and like fix errors in your part, which I'll show in a second. Do you have a question? Oh, okay. All right, so let's say I go back to my initial sketch and I like screw something up. So let's say I turn this from a rectangle into like a triangle. So I'll just do like something really messy right now. I'll do that. Basically, I've like screwed everything up. So I've removed the face that one of our sketches was on before. And now it's going to give me some errors. This is just kind of floating in the air. And like, this is confused because this face is gone. And the fillet's also confused because it's like missing some edges. So if I want to go back, basically like before I had any of those errors, I can go back here. And then I can sort of like roll back the, roll in like these sort of features that then I can see like, oh, it messed up like on this step. Then I can fix this step individually and then move on to the next part and kind of resolve it. I'm not going to fix this because there's not really anything to fix. It's just like messed up. So yeah, you can also hit Control-Z to go back. So that's a good one. Just undo all of that. And yeah, now we're at a reasonable place. Okay, and anything else that I'm missing? I guess those are the important things. Do you guys have any ideas on? Is there anything you guys want to know how to do real quick? Like assign colors? I don't know. We can go over colors. You've got these appearances here. So on the top, you have like your part, like all your features that you've created. You can also click this little like colorful ball to go to your display manager. You can create appearances. So you can open like an appearance library. And you've got like all of these options here. Let's say I wanted to like make this like some sort of like plastic. You've got a lot of options. I can choose like a gray plastic. Click and drag this somewhere on the part, and I'll just like assign it to the entire part for now. So it'll give you a couple options. If you select this option, it assigns it like sort of part-wise. So it assigns it to the entire thing. Select this one, it assigns it to a specific body. Select this one, it assigns it to a specific feature. This one is a specific face. So we're just gonna say we're gonna give it to this whole part.
Why don't we color the wires like?
Yeah. So we're gonna get that in a second. So now I've kind of got this color for the entire battery. Now I'm gonna color the wires. So I'm gonna add appearance. Yeah. So you want to navigate over started from here. Click on this colored ball. Right here, where my mouse is right now. Yeah. So if you're in here, you notice there's a material not specified. You can right click that, edit material. And this stuff, the material is mainly, the materials and appearances are kind of different. The appearances is basically like how it looks. And then the materials will be linked to like calculating the center of mass. Yeah, so when you assign a material, it will be for the whole thing. So, because like usually when you create a part, it only has like, it's made out of like one material. So if you want to assign like multiple materials for like a bunch of parts put together, you can assign all the parts individually different materials and then put it together in an assembly. So yeah, so this material is mostly just for like calculating like the mass of the object and like all the like mechanical properties of the object. If you want to change how it looks, then the kind of appearances are what you want to change.
And then it should just cave out that entire thing. Can you keep the face below the keeping the face on the interior. Well, it's still gonna have that face taken out. I don't know.
I've never done that. Right. Well, if you're designing a waterfall, then you can show it out from the very top because the top has no finish. Yeah, I'm not sure about like a completely
The way to do that might just be to like show it and then like put that face back in afterwards from the sketch.
Or you could also like start with a plane. I didn't remember. You might create like a plane with like a part of the end. Okay. And you might sketch inside of that plane. I really extra like how.
Oh, like offset the plane, right? The two, one on.
Yeah, you like offset the plane a little bit inside the part and then we'll sketch it there. And then I should cut away.
You can just slap another one on top of it and it'll override it. And if you want to just
you right click and the right click. I don't know. We're just doing random shit now. Yeah.
So Matthew, why should I come back here in 2 weeks for the second CAD lab?
Why should you come here in 2 weeks? We're going to be doing more complicated parts. If you come back in 4 weeks, we're going to put together a little robot.
And if you come back in 3 weeks, we'll show you how to 3D print some of those parts.
Maybe. Yeah. So the idea is you guys are going to CAD, or at least like, I don't think we'll get time to build all these parts, but I'll give you all these parts and you'll assemble this together in CAD. So these are like a bunch of individual parts I created beforehand and then put together into an assembly. So the part we made right now was just this battery, which goes right here. And so next time I might try to have you guys like CAD this like motor out, this part. Right, maybe the top plate. I had the top plate as part of this workshop, but we did not really get into it. So I think also maybe the weapon, we'll see. The next CAD session will be more part creation, and then the very last one will be assembling. So you'll see how to like put parts together.
Yeah, next week, our workshop is going to be based on power electronics instead of CAD. 2 weeks from now, it's the second CAD session. Anything else?
No, yeah. I guess that's all I'm gonna cover. If you have like any lingering questions, feel free to ask. But yeah, you guys can go.
Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yep.
You need to say please.
You might as well.
We'll give you replacement parts if saving goes fine.
Yeah,
For like save them too.
wherever you'll be able to open them again.
You should have like some sort of student account. Like, yeah, you know, US dollars. I think that's. How do you make this? So I guess probably the best thing to end up doing is just leaving that logged on.
Oh,
How
yeah,
it's logged on here. And then if you need to transfer files between that account and your account, you can export them as like solid part files and then download those to your laptop. Or share them on Discord if you want.
I would just like upload it here Google Drive or something.
Was Error 503 back in? All right. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. We're glad that we were able to teach.